Send our best wishes despite her absence, and I have to say that I think that it reflects very well upon WILG that a governor would choose one of our presidents to assume the duties of a judge. So that is a testament to this organization as well. And so one of my first acts as your president is to usurp the time that would have been afforded the outgoing president. And so if you have bet the under, it's probably not a good bet. But before I begin those remarks, I do have to thank some people, and everybody in this room who has fought for an injured worker or spent time with an organization that they love understands the time commitment, the resources that have to be spent. And that just can't be done unless you have some very solid support. And for me, that support comes from my home. And you guys know my wife, Tara. She is fantastic. She is as courageous and intelligent as she is generous and beautiful. And without her support, you wouldn't have me standing here. I love you, Tara. Also traveling all the way from Florida and getting away from Milton is my mother-in-law, Connie Abbott. And I have to say that this is so meaningful to me. I mean, she had a great hand in raising her daughter, and without that guidance, perhaps I wouldn't have Tara. And I can say without her love and support, the world just wouldn't be as bright. And our middle child, who we are so proud of, has joined us tonight as well. And some of you might have met Zara, and you can tell by her stature, her looks, and her demeanor that despite being a theater major, graduating summa cum laude from the University of South Florida, she will be a movie star soon and support her mother and father. Unfortunately, our other children couldn't make it tonight. Delaney, who some of you have met, she's done a couple of tours of duty, if you will. She tomorrow is going to be sworn into the Indiana Bar, and we are so proud of her. And I'm very thankful to receive the help of the firm. And so we sent D'Artagnan to support her, so we kind of split the family to do that. D'Artagnan is our youngest, and he is a sophomore, junior, depending on how you count the credits, at Ball State University, and he's studying to be a professor of history. And anybody who's had an opportunity to speak to D'Artagnan clearly knows he's smarter than his father. So I'm going to take us back to the first quarter of 2014. Finderson Law hadn't started yet. It was slated to begin April 1, 2014. And anybody who knows me as a person who puts his logo on good merchandise, right? We want it to be the best stuff, so everybody wants to keep it. So, yes, it's the hats from Titleist, it's the Pro V1s on the golf balls, and it's the single barrel of Woodford Reserve Double O. But that can't happen until you actually get a good logo, right? So we commissioned a graphic designer to give us a logo and came up with about 30. And we narrowed it down to about 3, but we had a very close group of them down here in Espalmy, and we put it on speaker. And so we dial something out, ring, 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 and this pleasant female voice answers, "Hi, Kevin, how are you?" He didn't bother with any formalities. He went right into it. He says, "Hey, Jen, I got a great lawyer from Fort Wayne. Needs to join the group." And Jen says, "Great. I'm going to have Julie send the application. Just send me his info. And by the way, thanks for doing our membership drive." And so, of course, we went ahead and I filled it out. And I became a member of WILG. And so then I turned to Tara and I said, "Hey, you want to go to California and do some wine tasting?" And anybody who knows us really understands that's a rhetorical question. And so we get out here and we get to stand at the top of the steps, and we all know now, right? You overlook the pools and you got the ocean in the background, and all we could think to one another is, hey, these guys know how to throw a convention. And then I get another text from Kevin, and he says, hey, you need to come out onto the terrace, and I got to introduce you to some people. And back then, we didn't have an app, so I had to look up the agenda to see what's going on. Turns out it was a board of directors reception. I said, Kevin, I just joined. I'm not on the board of directors. He says, okay, get out of here. Okay. So then I get out onto the terrace, and he starts introducing me to you. Like-minded, hard-working, intelligent, funny, passionate people who fight for the injured worker. And I knew I was home. So over the years then, I tried to do what I could for WILG. I served on the committees. I did what I could. And then they asked me, hey, you want to sit as a co-chair and organize the Midwest convention? I said, sure. So out in Kansas City, one fateful day, I run into Tom Holder, and I say to him, I'd like to be more involved. Which apparently is code for, oh, we got some work for you. And so I then somehow got put onto the leadership track and stand before you 3 years, well, doing some change, thank you, Commissioner Surbeck, as your president. And I am grateful for the opportunity to lead the charge to help the injured worker, and I'm honored and I'm humbled by your trust in me. So I'm going to make you this promise. I will carry WILG's message to our allies and our adversaries alike. We will build coalitions with partners who can further our cause and us theirs. Seek out those who would do harm to the grand bargain and find a way to have a seat at the table, even if that table rests in the viper's den. And we will fight for the fundamental right of the injured worker that all other Americans enjoy to choose their own health care providers, flipping directed care states to choice. You see, injured workers are human beings. They're not tools that you throw away when they break. Business and industry, they're built on the backs of those workers, and they should be revered, not ostracized. I mean, without workers, you don't build anything. Without workers, you don't provide any services. So why, when the person is suddenly hurt, that you treat them as a liability? What of the grand bargain? Surely there's been no erosion of the exclusivity enjoyed by the employer. But since 1911 in Wisconsin, when the first Workers' Compensation Act was adopted, there has been an erosion consistently of the benefits of the injured worker. That cannot continue. It will not continue. Not on our way. Finderson Law, every year I give away 2 awards to the teammate that exemplifies particular characteristics. The first one is the Churchill Award. And you might understand why I chose Churchill. A formidable fighter, historical figure who is often credited as being the bulwark upon which Hitler's Nazi Germany was crushed. And you know him as a great orator, and perhaps will remember some words of a famous speech to Parliament in which he said, "We shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Willie could use that and change a few words. It might sound something like this. "We shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in Indiana. We shall fight in Congress and the General Assemblies. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the state houses. We shall defend the grand bargain. Whatever the cost may be, we shall never surrender. The second award that I give, because this particular fight takes time, resources, and energy, is the Hayward Award. Now, John Hayward, he was an English playwright, best known for his phrases. And one such was, "Rome was not built in a single day, but they were laying bricks every hour." And so must we, if we are to persevere and prevail. Not so long ago, our friend Ben Crump delivered a riveting and powerful keynote address at our convention. Something he said struck me and has stayed with me since. We must speak truth to power. I don't think they can handle the truth, but the truth is what they're going to get nonetheless. And I will travel to the state houses to deliver WILG's message anywhere the grand bargain is under attack. I will speak truth to power, letting the lawmakers know that injured workers are not second-class citizens. They too are deserving of the fundamental right to choose their own health care providers as all other Americans do. Why strip our revered workers of a fundamental right? You should not. And I will carry the beacon that is our lighthouse, and I will shine it into the darkest recesses of despair. Cast away the shadows and remind the injured worker of hope, of justice. And they have some badass lawyers fighting for them. WILG warriors! And if anybody thinks that was overly melodramatic, that's my nature. And it will be fought. And it will be taken to them. We will not be unheard. That is for sure. Thank you so much for coming to the dinner.